The Big Ten just showed they mean business. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron.
And I'm Paul.
And we're the Big Ten guys on the daily, pushing out Big Ten content, news, rumors, analysis, whatever the heck it is, Big Ten. We're talking about it right here. Paul, tell them what they got to do.
Just take a quick second, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and get those alerts on. We got a lot more Big Ten content coming.
Ton of it coming. Don't miss out. Now, today, what we're going to talk about, something wild. Did not expect. Out of left field for me. I'm assuming the same for you, Paul,
Yes.
as well. I could not believe it. But as we talk about it, it will start to make more sense why these talks are occurring. And honestly, I think something's going to happen. Maybe not to the scale of people think, but we got to talk about it. So first and foremost, Big Ten pushes for a massive 2018 college football playoff overhaul. Now, before we truly jump into that, we need to say this. 16-team playoff, 24-team, 28-team. They're all on the table. If we're going to be realistic, 16-team playoff seems the first step forward.
Yeah.
But the big reason the Big Ten is talking about this right now is because there's a big meeting between the 10 commissioners and Notre Dame at the Big Ten headquarters September 24th. And moving forward, they got to figure out what they are going to do because they got to make a decision before December 1st if they want to make changes. And let's be honest, the bowl games right now, they're not what they used to be. I will say the playoff was fun last year. I like the 12-team playoff. But the question becomes, do we want more meaningful football? And what is too much? How big is a playoff? Is there such thing as saying it's too big? Paul, what do you got to say?
To me, I just want as many big college football games as possible. I know I might even be in the minority here, but I wouldn't have a problem with a 2018 playoff. Like, I think in the discussion they would get rid of conference championship games because those have almost, like, I think some teams last year were thrilled to not be in their conference championship game, like Ohio State. Like, they didn't have to play that extra game, still got in.
But hold on. Technically, though, they didn't get a bye, so they had to still play technically one other game.
Yes.
Because Oregon got a bye, and a lot of people would argue, well, Oregon was sitting for a long time, then they got absolutely blasted in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, but I think
State.
you'd rather have the bye. Like, I think a lot of Oregon fans are not thrilled about when their bye occurred and felt like they came
I would
into
give
the
them
game
that.
rusty.
Yeah, 100%.
So, everyone's different.
Yes.
But as Aaron said, these bowl games stink. Like, outside of the Pop-Tarts Bowl,
yeah, that's true. That's
nobody
a
is going to sit here and disparage the Pop-Tarts Bowl in front of me. But outside of that, like, if you're not in the playoffs, these bowl games are meaningless. Like, even like the Michigan-Alabama game last year, I'm a big Michigan fan. I loved it. It was a great game, but so many of the best players in that game, especially for Michigan, sat out. And it's like, I don't blame them. Like, the game doesn't mean anything. Like, you see guys like Jake Butt tear their ACL in the bowl game, and then he never had an NFL career after that. Like, I don't blame them for sitting out, but I just love college football, and I want to see as many big-time games as possible, so give me bigger playoffs.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that's a really good argument where, hey, we want more quality football. I don't want to watch a bowl game where the crowd is, the stadium, the Liberty Bowl in Memphis is a third of the way full, and it's just two analysts that have never watched either team, and it's not ideal. And a lot of people sitting out, whoever it might be. Now, I will say as a Michigan State fan, I do just want to make a bowl game just to get over the hump and hopefully get better. Time will tell, but beside the point in this conversation. But I think I would tell you this. I think 28 that's a big step forward very, very quick. I think last year the College Football Committee even kind of came out and said, listen, I don't think we necessarily did it perfect. Again, you even look at Oregon. You could easily argue it was unfair that next game they got Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough draw. Hey, we already beat that team earlier this year. So I wouldn't disagree that is tough. So things need to be figured out, and they have changed some things. So the top 4 teams don't have to be a conference champion. Now, obviously, that helps a team like Notre Dame. Hopefully, and I will tell you in one of our later videos, I don't think either of us are that high on Notre Dame, and that's not just because we dislike Notre Dame.
Some of it is, but
yeah.
But they lost a lot of guys.
They lost a lot. And so when we look at this, let's just break down the 28 team. So what they're proposing is the Big Ten and SEC would both receive 7 automatic playoff bids. The ACC and Big 12 would get 5 each. So there's the Power 4. It is.
That's 24 of 28.
That's 24 of 28. And then you would have 4 at large, and one of those would have to be a group of, technically, I feel like college football, like, you have to be a part of it to understand it. It should be technically group of 6.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is now a group of 5 conference. It's not Power 4.
Right.
Yeah.
And then trying to explain to people the Big Ten actually has 18 teams, not 10
Doesn't
teams.
make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But us college football fans, we understand it. We get it. But group of 6, they would need at least 1. And so if we were to jump, and comment below right off the bat, what is your thought? 16, 24, 28. What is your thought? What do you prefer? Tell us why right now. Comment below.
And one quick thing before we jump into who would have made it last year. I think another big complaint from Oregon fans is, the last week of the regular season, what is it, the end of November, if you make your conference championship, you play the first week of December. But then if you get a first round bye, you're not playing till January. So you get that full month. I don't know that it says it in here, but I would imagine if you have a playoff this big, you're not having that 3-week gap for no reason where teams are getting rusty. I'd imagine you lose at least some of that gap.
Yeah.
Maybe one bye week in there. Obviously, if you earn a bye, I think there's a bye week in this 2018 proposal, so maybe you get 2 weeks off. But I do think it would solve the problem of having a full month between games for some of these
for
teams.
sure. Well, and you got to also think from the school's perspectives. These higher seeds are going to be having more home games. That's more money for them, more money for the conference. There's all these different factors where it's like, hey, we know that we hit the jackpot here. It's college football. How can we make the most money? And I know that's tough to say because, we could get into the transfer portal, all these different things. Whether we'd like to realize it or not, college football, people want to make money off it. And they want to make a lot of money. And sure, I don't care if you want to make a lot of money. I just want a good product. Mm-hmm. And so the question becomes, as fans, what is the best product? What is the best postseason model for this? Our argument, the bowl games as is, not ideal. Not ideal. So sure, make the playoff bigger. No issue with that. And it goes to show, even last year, to shout out to the Ohio State fans, I think a lot of people thought Ohio State in Columbus were going to get knocked around by Tennessee. A lot of people did. And they absolutely pantsed them. No offense to Oregon fans. They pantsed Oregon fans. Then they went in, beat Texas, and then they beat Notre Dame. That's a gauntlet of a schedule right there in a playoff. And a lot of people were like, you know what? They're going to lose in the first round. So they proved their worth even though they weren't one of the top 4 seeds.
Yeah, they wouldn't have made a 14 playoff. And so playoff expansion right off the bat gave us a national champion that we wouldn't have had.
Which is crazy. And fun fact, the first year of the 4-team playoff, Ohio State won. First year of the 12-team playoff, Ohio State won as well. So if they do a 16-team playoff the next year or 24 or 28, expect Ohio State to win. You bet on it.
Take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank. Bet on it no matter the odds. So anyways, we'll look at this 28-team playoff. If this happened last year, so you got 5 in the ACC, 5 in the Big 12, 7 Big 10 SEC, what would that look like? So last year, the only 2 teams that made it were SMU and Clemson. And so you'd have SMU, Clemson, Miami, Syracuse, Louisville. Worst team on there, 9-4. The question becomes, should we have 9 teams that are single-digit wins in a playoff?
But I think, and I know there's going to be people in the comments like, oh, Louisville would lose by 4 scores to whoever they played. And, like, you know what? Maybe they would, but they're not going to start off against the number one team. The number one team has a bye. But, like, how much fun would it have been to see, like, Kyle McCord have to go play in Columbus against his former team? Like,
Yeah.
they're like, you can find intriguing matchups even if you don't necessarily think a team is necessarily a championship contender.
I would agree with that. I think that's a good argument. And and it gets, again, one thing too about college football that I feel like needs to be figured out. And don't get me wrong, you like Indiana, Signetti, how Indiana schedules games. Listen, we're gonna give ourselves an easier non-conference. I get it, especially when you play 9 conference games and other conferences like the SEC only play 8. I get why you're doing that, but when you make the playoff even bigger, it forces more games that are good, high quality games. That, like Paul said, again, you see Syracuse and McCord going and playing Ohio State in Columbus. That'd be fun to watch. Who's not going to tune in for that? Again, it's postseason football. People aren't going to be sitting out. Everything's on the line. You're convinced me of the 28 teams.
Yeah, well, and the thing too is, as you bring up Signetti and Indiana, currently you're rewarded for having an easy schedule because your overall record is important. But if it goes by your finish in the conference, and I think this is why Tony Petitti in all of his different proposals wants automatic bids, is because then only your conference record matters. So it's almost encouraging you to schedule good non-conference early season games so you can put your team to the test and have them play on the big stage. Mm-hmm. Because even if they lose, as long as they win their conference games, they can still be an automatic qualifier. Yeah. So not only would it give more big-time late season games, but it also might incentivize having big-time early season games to get your team accustomed to playing on the big stage.
Yeah, Paul, that's a very good point. And I just want to point this out as a Michigan State fan, but Tom Izzo in basketball, that's something he does. He is the early schedule puts a lot of big time teams in there, or teams that should be pretty good, because he wants to test his team and he knows, hey, we can still make the tournament even if we lose these games. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, because the current format, you put a big test like that and you lose, and that might be what costs you the playoff. So I don't blame Signetti for not wanting to schedule games like that. But if it's not going to cost you the playoff, then you could end up doing it to make sure your team's ready for the big game.
Right, it makes sense. So we look at the Big 12 now. You have Arizona. That was the only team who made it last year. Sam Leavitt, wish he would have never left Michigan State, but he did. I get why he did. BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, Baylor. So those are your 5 teams that are going to make it right there. And you look at the first 3, and they're all there. I guess it would have been regular season, would have been double-digit wins.
Yeah, but going into the last game or two, you didn't know which one of those teams was going to make the playoffs. And frankly, like, I know some people are sick of them, but who wouldn't have loved to see Shedeur and Dion head into the playoffs? That would have been fun.
That would have, listen, college football, a lot of money would have been made.
Yes.
A lot of money would have been made. So there's that. We look at the Big Ten. You had Oregon, Indiana, Penn State, Ohio State. All 4 of those teams made the playoff. Then on top of that, you would have Illinois, Iowa, Michigan. Now, this really comes into question. Iowa, Michigan, 8 and 5 teams. Would it be, again, and Michigan going into their last game was technically 7 and 5. So you would have a 7 and 5 team.
Coming off a win at Ohio State,
that's
though.
true.
It's like,
that's
I would have been
point.
And then they go and beat
They're
Bama.
Coming in hot.
That's what I like. Is it Michigan's defense, like, they had so many new players. They were starting to figure it out at the end of the year and gel together better. And they were dangerous at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Went to Columbus and won, beat Bama, who was playing most of their starters. Like, that is a team who could have pulled some upsets. Yeah. And it would have been good TV.
That's like college basketball, March Madness. It's just you're on a run, baby. You just keep going.
Sometimes those 12 seeds who get in the playoff game, they just get on a run.
They get on a run,
you
baby.
You don't want to see them.
Michigan would be like
like the 26th
seed.
Scared
13 seed, 13 seed, and they're just rolling. So that'd be interesting. We jump into the SEC. You see Texas, Georgia, Tennessee. All 3 of those teams made it. And then you have Missouri, Ole Miss, both 10-win teams. I guess technically they would have been 9. I believe they were both 9-3. And then you have Bama making it, as well as LSU. And then, but that doesn't mean that like the South Carolina, there's still 4 at-large bids, so they can make.
I'd imagine one would have gone to South Carolina,
right? And then you still have Boise State. I believe UNLV might have been ranked very low, but here's one that would have been wild: is Army. Army would have been very crazy to have in there.
Because Army versus Michigan, not a single pass the whole game.
Oh,
let's just
last year, yes.
Run it up the gut against
last
each other.
Year, yes.
It would have been football at its finest.
Yeah, football at its finest. So then let's say you have South Carolina. I'm just going to throw in Army for fun, Boise State, and then we throw in one other school. Possibly TCU at 9-4.
Probably not Minnesota.
Not Minnesota. No offense to Minnesota fans if you're out there. I don't think UConn either. Maction. I don't think Ohio. UNLV. Yeah, as I said, I don't remember them being ranked. South Carolina.
The Raging Cajun?
The Raging Cajuns, maybe, or the Thundering Herd. Who knows? Yeah. But again, it makes it. I would agree that it makes it much more interesting. And again, as someone who is a consumer of college football, what would be the best route moving forward? And we ask you that question once again. 16-team, 24-team, 28-team playoff. What is your thought? Paul, any final thoughts?
I'm team 28. The more the merrier. Give me as many good college football games as possible. But even if it's just 16, I'm happy with that too.
Man just wants to watch football.
That's right.
Guys. Man wants to
watch football. We're so close.
We're there. We're almost there. On your way out, hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Don't miss out on Big Ten content on the daily. We'll talk later. Peace.
See ya.